Earlier, students took to the streets in Braamfontein in Johannesburg to burn tires and attempt to destroy a statue outside the Johannesburg Metropolitan Municipality offices. Students say they are unable to register and obtain accommodation due to the lack of NSFAS funding. eNCA Slindelo Masigane is tracking that story for us since early this morning. She's joining us now live here at lunchtime. Slindelo, good afternoon. Before we just talk about what's happening right where you are, very quick wrap of the highlights of what we saw happening this morning as the students are continuing their protest for financial inclusion.
Good afternoon, Bradanis. We are here in the Braamfontein area in which the University of the Witwatersrand is situated. And earlier this morning, we saw a slow progression, I think, or a small group of students who are protesting. The numbers have grown a little bit, and closer to around lunchtime, we saw them starting to make their way down to Jorison, the corner of Jorison and Jan Smuts. That is where they started burning tires and barricading the roads and singing and chanting, just like they're doing right now behind me. They then went on to make their way up Jorison Street to the Johannesburg City Mayoral Chambers. And that is where the miners' statue is situated. It's supposed to symbolize the miners, or should I say, the blood and sweat of the miners that built the city of Johannesburg. And what students tried to do there was attempt to take it down. Something similar to what we saw during the Rhodes Must Fall movement. However, JMPD officers quickly moved in and managed to disperse the students from that particular area using pepper spray, as well as some sort of dialogue with them. We've now moved from the Johannesburg Mayoral Chambers and that statue and made our way down to South Gate 10 of the university. And as you can see behind me, what we are seeing is that campus security is basically have lined themselves up here on the gate, and only students who have student cards are being allowed in. And so some of those students have made their way into the campus. The leadership of the SRC and the protest leaders are not really telling us what their plans are. We're just kind of following them as the protests continue. So for now, the action was for them to go into campus, and that is what many of them have done.
Yeah, the presence of law enforcement agencies earlier on in the streets of Braamfontein, what did you observe?
There is a presence, Bradan. Certainly there is a presence, but the engagement with them, it does seem as though there's been some sort of direction, I think, in terms of how they should be interacting with students, because we know of the outcry that's taken place in terms of the heavy-handedness of the protest action. And so they have, you can see a stark difference in the way they're handling the protesters. But I want to bring in the Wits SRC president once more, Pendulo. Thank you so much for joining us. I see we're making our way to the campus. What are the plans for inside? And I saw, of course, we saw what happened earlier on with the statue. Are you satisfied with the action that you guys are taking so far?
What's happening inside, to answer your first question, it's a strategic retreat. So the revolution must attack, advance, and retreat, and strategically so. But more than anything, whether we're satisfied or not, I can't speak for the ground. That's a view of the ground. If the ground is satisfied, then it is satisfied. If it's not, then perhaps it will take a higher or more advanced action going forward. Now, we have a rather peculiar mission, right? But first and foremost, before I address the mission, I must mention that I want to call on all media houses and all journalists in the country that they need to do activist journalism. There's a laziness of journalism in the country. There's a view of reporting only particular narratives that will get a promotion for that particular journalist and not necessarily reflect the true story. As it stands currently, students can't even access Wits University. As it stands, I think we're here together. There's bouncers on the gate there. For us to enter, it's almost impossible. You must find a guerrilla tactic or whatnot. And I don't think Wits University is the only area. Probably in Univen they can't enter. probably in the University of Limpopo they can't enter. In TUT, the capital, Soshanguve, they can't enter.
And so you have an engagement with one of the officials, because I can see some of the students have made their way inside. What was required for them to be able to get in?
So we made an engagement with the officials, and the engagement was that these are SRC subcommittee members, right? The only people that are allowed into campus are SRC members at this point in time, right? And we can't operate like that because there's students who generally need basic things like Wi-Fi. In fact, it's not basic, right? Because how many people have access to Wi-Fi in this country? It's only the 13% that owns land in our country. So if we are going to say access to campus is going to be on the basis of elitism, we're already delegitimizing the process. That's why I keep on saying if it's not decolonized, it's not free.
All right, so the plan of action right now is to retreat into the campus. Will we be seeing more protest action on the streets?
We definitely will be. We declared a statement yesterday that Johannesburg must be ungovernable. We have not started. What we were doing was just a showing shortly. If you watch Chinese movies, they always have showing shortlies. That was a showing shortly, and we are showing the karate we have. If at any point in this country we are going to have free education, young people need to come together. I want to implore and call upon all young people in the country to come together. From the EFF, from the PAC, we see the PAC has come, the TA is here, the SACP is here. Everyone needs to come together.
I do see that I don't see a lot of the EFF student command. Yes. Is there a reason?
It's because there's a demagogue who told comrades on campus of the EFF, comrades who are committed to a cause, more than some comrades, right, who told comrades on campus not to protest alongside other political organizations. It's selfish, that thing. He's a 40-year-old who wants to be 35 forever. And if we allow him to be 35 forever or to be youth forever, as a generation of young people, we're going to have problems. And I'm going to ask to my comrades in the EFF, my comrades in the PAC, my comrades in the TA, for us to define our own era. We can't be disturbed at defining our own era. If we are denied an opportunity to define our own era, we will forever be stuck in the shackles of economic poverty. The NTR teaches us that the revolution is two-staged. Political freedom has been attained, but we can never have real freedom without economic freedom. So, yes, there will be demagogues who try and deviate us from our course because of elections and other campaign mechanisms. Today, I'm not wearing a party regalia or anything. I'm from a political organization. I won't mention it. But I'm an SRC president today and not a party member. Because when they exclude you from Wits University, when they exclude you from Univen, when they exclude you from any university in the country, they are not excluding an EFF member. They're not excluding a SASCO member. They're not excluding a TA member. They're excluding a black and a poor student. And I must emphasize this. It's not only black people. Much as it's the majority of them, it's not only black people who are suffering from this. There's colored people. There's Indian people. There's white people, in fact, that are also suffering from this. But the blunt majority of this, it's black people. It's our people. My people are still suffering to this day. They are in harsher conditions than they were 500 years or 600 years back. Slavery is 500 years old. If we as a generation allow this to continue further, me and you here are enslaved, whether we like it or not. We're under a colony called decentralized despotism. There's no white person in you. It's the black person colonizing the black person. The colony is in Europe. And if we continue for circumstances like that to proceed in our country, then we should not have started with what we're doing in the first place.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That is the Wits SRC President Braamfontein.
Yes, Mpendulo Mfeka there, very articulate, putting the position of the SRC. We're going to have to watch and see what happens this afternoon. He says it's a strategic retreat into campus. It's 28.